So in the School of Medicine and Public Health, we have realigned three of our basic science departments, traditional disciplinary departments, into new departments that are focused on research priorities of the School of Medicine. The opportunity for us in the School of Medicine and Public Health was that we had three chairs of these fundamental departments who had decided to step down from their positions. And we saw this really as a chance to revision or at least consider whether we wanted to continue the basic science arrangement that we had long held in the school. And through a process that I'll describe in a minute, we actually considered that it would be advantageous to us to actually reduce the number of departments from 3 to 2, and in the process move away from a traditional disciplinary focus and into a focus on strategic research priorities for the School of Medicine. Realignments of departments, academic departments at the University of Wisconsin really is a faculty-driven process. And so in considering the opportunity, we appointed a task force of School of Medicine faculty who not only came from those departments, but also other departments in the school to consider the best organization. And option number one was simply to continue with the current or traditional organization, but we considered several others and ultimately settled on the idea that we would emphasize research focuses of the school moving forward. And out of this discussion then came a decision. And the decision was to build to a very great strength that we have in the neurosciences, a discipline which really for all of its effort on campus is not well known outside the campus. And so we brought those people together in a department of neuroscience. We also believe that a very strong focus for us moving forward, moving into the future, would be regenerative biology, regenerative medicine. And this built upon really very great strengths here in stem cell research, regenerative biology, and ultimately translation of research results in this field to improve clinical care. Once the task force completed its work, we engaged the faculty of the three existing departments and discussed what the options were, or the options are in the present tense. And through these discussions, we developed buy-in, if you will, a consensus that this would really be a very good way to proceed. And virtually all of the faculty, not 100%, but virtually all of the faculty saw themselves in one of these two new departments. So ultimately, the governance processes of the University of Wisconsin came into play. There were faculty votes. There were votes of the School of Medicine and Public Health Academic Planning Council, and finally a vote of the University Academic Planning Council. And these clearly were affirmative at every step along the way. This, in the end, was accepted as an action by the Faculty Senate and was also accepted by the Board of Regents, and it became the law of the land, if you will. In pursuing a realignment of departments within the university, of course, we consult faculty policies and procedures, the legal documents of the university, or at least many of them. And our guides for this were Jocelyn Milner in academic planning, who really is just a tremendously supportive person in processes like this, and also David Musoff, Secretary of the Faculty, for references to the appropriate procedures in FP&P. Now, as we went along in the process, really the faculty who comprised the department ended up being the most effective partners, if you will, collaborators in the process. There really had to be an understanding as we move forward that the departments becoming larger in the merger would remain at that size moving forward, a very great advantage of merging 3 departments into 2, is that you take 3 small to medium-sized departments and you create 2 medium to large-sized departments. And what this gives you within the departments that are formed is interdisciplinary breadth. And so that as a group of faculty, as a chair leading a group of faculty, a vision for programmatic development can really be accomplished largely within the department, but also extending beyond that to the larger university community. So discussions that arose ultimately were between the faculty who would comprise the department and also the deans of the School of Medicine and Public Health. We had to understand what the teaching missions of the department would be. We had to understand how the departments would be sustained into the future and areas in which they would grow. And we also had to understand how new leadership would be recruited to the departments. And this has all worked out really quite successfully. We are in the process now of of those 3 areas of endeavor. We're in the process now of recruiting chairs to the departments. In considering the realignment of disciplinary departments into interdisciplinary departments, there are many factors that come into play. One of these is that individuals who belong to a disciplinary department have some loyalty to the discipline. And there's a real consideration here about whether you want to de-emphasize the importance, the apparent importance of a discipline within a school in favor of an interdisciplinary initiative. And there is considerable discussion about this. Physiology, pharmacology, anatomy, these are all disciplines that are fundamental to a medical curriculum. We must continue to teach these. It's really one of the reasons that many of us were recruited to the University of Wisconsin. So to deal with that issue, we formed interdepartmental teaching groups in each of these disciplines. And the teaching groups are headed by a content expert in the discipline. And it's really the responsibility of these groups moving forward to staff courses that have strong disciplinary content, to actually engage in long-range planning for teaching the discipline within the medical and undergraduate curriculum in which both of these are taught, and to actually use funding that supports teaching to actually affect both of these goals. Another barrier to realignment of departments really is an emotional one, that people who live and work in a department understand that there are not only professional and scientific relationships that are formed, but there are also social relationships that are really very important to the work of the department. And so in considering moving forward, I think for many people, a thought that's really foremost in their minds is, will the new department be as good for me as my present department is? And of course, this is something, it's a question that really can only be answered by going through with the experiment. And so at this stage, I would say that we are evolving very rapidly to highly effective new departments. The excitement and intensity of recruiting new chairs to each of these departments have brought people together, common purpose, and the goal, of course, is to hire leadership that will help the department achieve real preeminence.